One of the pieces of feedback we heard from teachers while testing out the Dell interactive screens was that the sound from the speaker just wasn't enough to fill a classroom. To fix that issue, the district has purchased sound bars and installed them on top of your screens. They absolutely put out enough volume to fill your classroom with sound. Now, you'll notice that these speakers come with their own remote. Like we talked about in a previous video, the Dell interactive screens have their own remote, and if I'm really smart and fancy, I'll put a little picture of this remote so you can see it a little bit closer. But that's the Dell remote for the Dell interactive screen. You can see it says Dell at the bottom. The soundbar remote is a little bit different. That one's hiding here on the wall, and it looks like this. Now, there are a few buttons on this remote that you're going to want to pay special attention to. Mainly the power button, the input volume, the input button, and the directional pad that allows you to turn the volume up and turn the volume down. And finally, there is a mute speaker button. Now, there's some other buttons on this remote, but we'll get into those later on. The big ones for right now, again, are your mute button, your volume up, your volume down, and the power button. There is an input button on the remote, but the good news is the only input currently going to the sound bars is the TV itself. So you shouldn't have to worry about changing the input. So let's take a look at these soundbars in a little bit more detail. To turn on your soundbar, simply press the power button once on the remote. You don't have to hold it down, you just have to press it. After pressing that button, you'll notice that a single LED light in the center of the soundbar lights up, and after a few seconds, you have sound. To turn it off, simply repeat that process. Tap the button on the remote, and the soundbar will turn off. As you use the remote to increase the volume of the soundbar, you'll notice the LEDs in the center get greater and greater in number. Likewise, when you turn the volume down, you have fewer and fewer LEDs. Now, this is a trick for seeing if your soundbar is on. There's not a really great indicator if it has power or not, so if you just tap the volume up button, you'll see that the LEDs are there, and you'll know that it's on. Again, you may want to keep it kind of at a low setting, because this can definitely fill a classroom with sound. One final thing worth mentioning about these soundbars. The way they're currently set up, when sound is played, it will come from both the Dell interactive screen speakers that are internal to the speaker and the soundbar at the top of the screen. And there might be a little bit of a delay between them, which could sound a little awkward. Now, you might think to tap on the sound icon on your Dell interactive screen and set that volume down to 0. And that's a good thought, except that is the master volume. So that's also going to turn down the soundbar sound as well. Instead, what we're suggesting is that you find your Dell interactive screen remote, most likely at the side of your screen, stuck there with a magnet. And then in the bottom left-hand corner is your volume down button. Turn the volume of the screen down and you'll notice a little sign that comes up that says Dell monitor. It's not the whole system, it's just the Dell screen. And I'm just going to turn that all the way down until it's at its minimum. That way the sound coming out of the Dell screen is very, very low, and predominantly what you're going to hear is the sound coming out of the soundbar. So there you go. That's a quick introduction to the soundbar that's been installed to help fill your room with sound while you're teaching.